When God is about to give you something big, your life will not feel safe, predictable, or gentle. It will feel like the ground is shaking beneath your feet, like the very walls you built around your life are being torn down one by one. The season before the breakthrough is never calm, because calm doesn't shape warriors, it only sustains the weak. If you want something extraordinary, you have to be willing to endure extraordinary pressure. The silence you're facing is not God abandoning you, it's Him sharpening you, stripping away the distractions, teaching you to hear beyond noise. The chaos you feel is not an attack meant to destroy you, it's preparation designed to strengthen you. You've been asking for bigger doors to open, but do you understand that bigger doors are heavier to push? You've been asking for more responsibility, but do you realize that responsibility always comes wrapped in resistance? Nothing in your life is falling apart. It's falling into alignment. The truth is, most people pray for blessings they are not built to carry. They want abundance without discipline. They want opportunities without sacrifice. They want influence without integrity. But life does not work that way, and God will never give something big to a person who still thinks and lives small. That's why pressure comes first. That's why struggle hits hardest when you are closest to the promise. The blessing is not denied. It's delayed until you are strong enough to hold it without dropping it. You cannot step into greatness while clinging to weakness. You cannot hold a crown while still crawling in the mud of your old habits. Look at your life right now. If you feel pressed, it is not because you are being punished, it is because you are being prepared. If you feel broken, it is not because you are weak, it is because you are being remade. If you feel like everything you thought was secure is slipping through your fingers, it is because God is removing what cannot go with you into the next season. The pruning always comes before the harvest. The storm always comes before the calm. The fire always comes before the gold. And here is the harsh truth that few accept. If you can't handle the storm, you don't deserve the blessing. You say you want more, but every time life tests you, you break, you complain, you give up. What you don't realize is that every trial is an exam, every obstacle is a question, and every setback is asking you the same thing. Are you truly ready? Do you really want what you've been asking for, or do you just like the sound of it? God is not cruel. He will not hand over something big to someone who is still fragile. He will make sure you are unshakable before He gives you something that will shake the world around you. So do not mistake the darkness you're walking through as abandonment. The silence is not rejection. The pressure is not punishment. It is evidence that something greater is on its way. You are not buried, you are planted. You are not being broken down, you are being built up. You are not being delayed, you are being developed. The struggle is a signal, a sign that you are closer to something greater than you have ever held before. If your life feels like it's under attack, it's because it is. But not in the way you think. You are under the weight of growth. You are under the hand of shaping. You are under the test of endurance. And if you endure, if you refuse to quit, if you hold steady when everything tells you to collapse, you will find that the very thing you thought was crushing you was the very thing building you. The chaos is your confirmation. The storm is your signal. The silence is your training. God is about to give you something big, but not before you are big enough inside to carry it. And that is why the season feels unbearable. It's not here to break you. It's here to build you. It's not here to steal from you. It's here to stretch you. It's not here to punish you. It's here to prove you. Every moment of pain is proof of purpose. Every tear is evidence of transformation. Every battle is the birth of your blessing. The only question left is whether you will endure long enough to see it. You've been asking for more, but more doesn't come to the unprepared. You've been praying for a breakthrough, yet your habits are still built on laziness, distraction, and excuses. You say you want something greater in your life, but you still live like what you already have isn't worth stewarding. Why would God give you more if you are careless with what's already in your hands? The truth you don't want to hear is this: increase only comes to those who can manage the weight of it. A bigger blessing is heavier, not lighter. A greater calling demands more from you, not less. And until you prove that you can handle the small, you'll never be trusted with the big. This is where most people sabotage themselves. They confuse wanting with being ready. They confuse desire with discipline. You can want success, abundance, purpose, but if your habits scream mediocrity, What you want will never reach you. The gap between your prayers and your reality isn't God's delay, it's your inconsistency. Every single time you cut corners, every time you let laziness dictate your day, every time you choose comfort over discipline, you prove to yourself that you are not yet fit for what you're asking for. God doesn't bless negligence, He blesses stewardship. Think about your current life. Look at your routines. Look at your mindset. If you can't manage your mornings, how will you manage millions? If you can't stay focused for 1 week, how will you carry a vision that requires years of faithfulness? If you collapse under the pressure of small challenges, what makes you think you will stand strong when the weight of something massive is placed on your shoulders? You don't get to skip the process. You don't get to bypass the preparation. Elevation requires transformation. Here is the harsh truth that nobody likes to say out loud. Right now, your actions are not matching your prayers. You keep saying you're ready for change, but you're not changing. You keep saying you're waiting for God, but really God is waiting for you to rise above the excuses, waiting for you to finally get serious about your time, your discipline, your vision, waiting for you to become the person who can carry the blessing without dropping it. God will not give more to someone who refuses to grow into more. And that's why life feels like it's pressing you. That's why the comfort is being ripped away. That's why things are being shaken. Because you cannot stay who you are and receive what you're asking for. Who you are today isn't big enough to hold what's coming. The version of you that plays small, wastes time, and surrounds itself with the wrong people cannot step into the level you've been praying about. God will stretch you until you grow, and He will strip away everything in your life that feeds the small version of you. If you want more, you have to prove you can handle more. And proving isn't about talking, it's about living. It's about waking up and showing discipline when nobody is watching. It's about staying committed when quitting feels easier. It's about pushing through silence, pressure, and frustration without collapsing back into weakness. Your future self is built in the decisions you make right now, in the unseen, in the quiet moments when it's just you and your excuses. You've been asking for something big, but here's the question you need to face. Are you truly ready, or are you just entertained by the idea of it? Do you want the reality of responsibility, or do you just like the fantasy of success? Because if you're serious, then every action you take must reflect it. Your habits must align with the weight of the blessing. Your mindset must expand to the size of the vision. Your life must shift from the small patterns of comfort to the demanding patterns of growth. God doesn't withhold out of cruelty, He withholds out of wisdom. He sees the bigger picture. He knows what weight will crush you if given too soon. So if you don't have it yet, it's not because it's denied, it's because you are still being built. The moment your preparation meets your prayer, the doors will open. But until then, you are being shaped, tested, and refined into the version of yourself that can hold the big without dropping it. The question is not whether God can give it, the question is whether you can carry it. Before elevation comes separation. That's the law. That's the order. You cannot rise while holding on to everything and everyone that once kept you comfortable. When God is about to give you something big, He starts subtracting before He multiplies. People you thought were permanent suddenly drift away. Doors you assumed would always stay open suddenly slam shut. Patterns you once leaned on stop working. It feels like loss, but it's not loss. It's alignment. It's the breaking away of what cannot survive at the level you're about to step into. And here's the hard truth. Most of the pain you're feeling right now is not the attack of an enemy. It's the removal of attachments you refuse to release. You keep asking for new, but you cling to old. You beg for growth, but you won't let go of what stunts your growth. You want transformation, but you still hold on to people, habits, and environments that belong to a smaller version of you. God won't let you drag dead weight into destiny. So when you feel people leaving, don't chase. When opportunities close, don't beg. When habits no longer satisfy, don't run back. That's not rejection. That's protection. You've got to understand this. Separation is not personal, it's spiritual. Not everyone around you is meant to go where you're going. Not every friend is a forever friend. Not every relationship is meant to survive the fire of transformation. Some were only there to play a role in your past season. They weren't built for your future. They can't see at the level you're being called to. They can't carry the weight of the vision being placed inside you, and the longer you fight to keep them, the longer you delay your own elevation. It's not easy to accept, because separation hurts. It feels like rejection. It feels like betrayal. But here's the shift you must make. What feels like betrayal is often protection. What feels like loss is often direction. What feels like emptiness is often God making room for what's next. You've been asking for increase, but increase doesn't come without space, and space doesn't come without subtraction. Take a hard look at your life. How many times have you asked for clarity, then felt confused when people left? How many times have you begged for strength, then found yourself stripped of every crutch you leaned on? How many times have you prayed for growth, then felt everything familiar being ripped away? That wasn't coincidence. That was alignment. The pruning always comes before the harvest. The cutting always comes before the fruit. You don't get to keep everything and rise at the same time. You either rise or you cling. You either step into destiny or stay stuck in history. And here's a truth that might sting. If everyone in your life is comfortable with you, you're not growing. Growth disrupts. Growth separates. Growth makes people uncomfortable because it exposes who's willing to evolve and who's desperate to stay the same. When you grow, you outgrow. And when you outgrow, you can't shrink yourself back just to keep others at ease. Stop lowering your frequency to match people who refuse to rise. Stop dimming your light just so others won't feel insecure. If they were truly meant for your journey, they would rise with you. If they refuse to, let them stay where they are. You cannot delay your future trying to drag people into a destiny they were never assigned to. This is why elevation feels lonely. Because at the top, not everyone can breathe the air. Not everyone can handle the altitude. And the higher you go, the fewer companions you'll have beside you. That's not punishment, it's necessary. Because big blessings demand focus, clarity, strength. Too many attachments dilute your vision. Too many voices drown out your direction. Too much baggage will bury your breakthrough. You have to accept the truth. Separation is part of the process. Before elevation comes separation. And if you fight separation, you fight your own growth. If you resist what God is removing, you resist what God is preparing. Stop trying to resurrect what God already buried. Stop trying to rebuild what God already tore down. If it's gone, let it stay gone. If it walked away, let it walk. If it doesn't align, let it go. Because here's the reality. Everything that leaves makes space for something greater. Every door that shuts clears the path for the right one to open. Every relationship that ends creates the room for healthier, stronger connections. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is random. The subtraction is a sign that multiplication is on its way. So when you feel the separation, don't panic. Don't mourn too long. Recognize it for what it is, the evidence that you're being lifted, the proof that you're entering a new season, the sign that God is pulling you away from what you cannot carry, so that He can give you what you've been praying for. The pruning isn't punishment, it's preparation. When you start to see the losses, the endings, the removals, remind yourself of this truth. Before elevation comes separation. Always. Stop crying about closed doors. Stop wasting your energy pounding on something that will never open again. If it shut for a reason. If it locked because it was never yours. If it crumbled because it couldn't carry you where you're meant to go. The mistake too many people make is assuming that a closed door is the end, when in truth, it's the beginning of something greater. Closed doors are not God's punishment, they are God's redirection. They are the filter that separates what you wanted from what you truly need. Every time a door slams shut in your life, it reveals something you refuse to admit. Not everything you think is good for you is actually good for you. You pray for blessings, but you cling to distractions. You ask for clarity, but you chase illusions. You cry over the loss of what was never built to last. What you call rejection is often protection. That door you wanted so badly, it might have led you to ruin. That opportunity you begged for, it might have destroyed your discipline. That relationship you swore you couldn't live without, it might have suffocated the very destiny you've been crying for. You've got to face this hard truth. Not every open door is divine, and not every closed door is defeat. Some things that look like opportunities are actually traps. Some things that look like blessings are actually distractions in disguise. God will not give you something that pulls you further from who you're meant to become. That's why He closes doors. That's why He blocks paths. That's why He allows certain things to crumble, even while you're begging for them to hold together. He knows what you cannot see. He sees the weight that your eyes can't measure, the destruction hidden behind the shiny surface. And here's where most people get stuck. They keep standing at the locked door, crying, pleading, replaying the memory of how good it once felt to walk through it. But the past is gone and the door is sealed. The longer you keep your eyes on what has closed, the more you delay stepping through what is opening. Closed doors aren't meant to be obsessed over. They're meant to be walked past. You cannot mourn forever over what was never meant to last. You want proof you're moving towards something greater? Look at what has ended. Look at what has been stripped from you. The denial is the evidence. The no is the direction. The silence is the signal. Every time a door shuts, it's a signpost pointing you towards something stronger, something purer, something that won't collapse the moment you lean on it. But you won't see it if you're still trying to resurrect what's already been buried. Here's another raw truth. Some of you are angry with God for not giving you what you prayed for, but if He had given it, you would have been destroyed by it. You're mad about a closed door that was actually your rescue. You're bitter about being blocked from what would have broken you. You're crying over being denied what would have drained you. That's how limited human vision is. You think the door in front of you is the only one worth walking through, but God sees the building, the hallway, the city you're supposed to enter. Stop begging for access to what He already saved you from. If it's locked, it's not yours. If it's heavy, it's training you. If it's silent, it's building something in you that words could never explain. Closed doors are part of the refining fire. They build patience. They sharpen focus. They kill ego. They force you to trust what you cannot see. That's why you feel pressed when they shut. You're being stretched to rise above, needing everything to go your way. Your destiny doesn't live in the doors that closed. Your destiny lives in the doors that will open when you finally let go. You can't hold both. You can't cling to the past and step into the future. You can't force what's broken and still expect to carry what's new. You've got to choose, stand forever in front of what is sealed shut, or turn and walk toward the unknown that's waiting. The truth is, closed doors are not your enemy. They are your proof. Proof that God is working. Proof that redirection is in motion. Proof that something bigger, stronger, and unshakable is on the other side. Stop crying. Stop begging. Stop doubting. The locked door is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a better one. You say you're waiting on God, but the truth is God is waiting on you, waiting for you to stop pretending that prayers alone will build the life you keep imagining, waiting for you to stop using faith as an excuse for laziness, waiting for you to finally match your words with action. You keep asking for more, but your behavior shows you aren't serious about receiving it. You claim you're ready for a new season, yet your routines still belong to the old one. You cry for change, but your habits prove you're addicted to staying the same. Here's the raw truth that hurts to swallow. You are not stuck because God has forgotten you. You are stuck because you keep wasting the opportunities already in front of you. You blame timing, but it's really about your discipline. You blame doors not opening, but you haven't built the character to walk through them. You ask for freedom, but you cling to excuses like they're your lifeline. You pray for clarity, but you drown yourself in distractions. You've been saying you're waiting on God, but what if God is just waiting for you to finally get serious? Look closely at your daily life. How many hours do you waste on things that don't move you forward? How often do you let fear dictate your choices? How often do you push your dreams aside because comfort feels easier? This isn't about fate, this is about choices. This isn't about timing, this is about action. You don't rise by chance, you rise by discipline. You don't step into destiny by wishing, you step in by working, consistently, relentlessly, even when nobody notices. And here's a brutal realization. The life you want requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. You have to build that person. You have to kill off the lazy parts of you, the distracted parts of you, the fearful parts of you. Because God will never place something big into the hands of someone still acting small. You want more money? but can't manage what you already have. You want influence, but can't control your temper. You want opportunities, but can't stay consistent for 30 days. Why should more be trusted to you when you haven't mastered less? Stop hiding behind the phrase, "I'm waiting on God," when the truth is you're avoiding responsibility. God gave you time. He gave you energy. He gave you skills. He gave you opportunities. And instead of multiplying them, you waste them. You bury your gifts and then cry that nothing is happening. But nothing is happening because you've done nothing with what's already in your hands. Waiting doesn't mean sitting. Waiting means preparing. Waiting means working. Waiting means moving forward so when the right moment comes, you're ready to seize it. You need to hear this without sugarcoating. Procrastination is killing you. Comfort is suffocating you. Distractions are robbing you blind. Every day you delay, every day you settle, every day you refuse to take control, you push your destiny further away. You're not being tested in grand moments, you're being tested in the small ones. What you do when nobody is watching, what you do when you feel tired, what you do when excuses whisper louder than discipline. That is what decides if you're truly ready. Stop waiting for a miracle while ignoring the discipline that makes you capable of holding a miracle. Stop begging for blessings while living in a way that would waste them. Stop blaming God for silence when the silence is a sign that the next move is yours. Faith without action is fantasy. Hope without discipline is empty. Prayers without effort are noise. The truth is simple. You say you're waiting, but you're hiding. You're hiding from hard work. You're hiding from responsibility. You're hiding from growth. And until you step out of hiding, nothing will change. God is waiting on you to rise. God is waiting on you to act. God is waiting on you to finally live like the person you keep praying to become. So stop saying you're waiting. Start moving, start building, start proving with your discipline that you're ready for the big thing you've been crying for. Because the moment you decide to move, everything you thought was delayed will start aligning. When God is about to give you something big, the first thing that gets tested is your hunger. Not your talent, not your comfort, not your words, your hunger. Because hunger decides whether you fight or fold when the path gets difficult. Hunger decides if you push through silence or quit when you don't see immediate results. Hunger decides if you keep going when you're tired, discouraged, or overlooked. You say you want more, but do you actually want it bad enough to bleed for it? Do you want it bad enough to sacrifice for it? Do you want it bad enough to kill your old self for it? Or are you just addicted to the idea of wanting, addicted to talking about it, addicted to imagining how it will look once it arrives? Here's the reality you don't like to face. Most people don't really want growth. They just want comfort dressed up as growth. They don't want responsibility. They just want applause. They don't want transformation. They just want recognition. But God doesn't bless shallow hunger. God doesn't hand over big things to people who are only half serious. When He's preparing you for something greater, He will expose the truth about your appetite, and you will either prove you're starving for it, or you will prove you were just playing pretend. This is why the process feels so harsh. It strips away the easy wins. It removes the applause. It denies you quick gratification. It forces you to walk in silence where no one sees you, no one claps for you, no one affirms you. Because if your hunger can't survive without being seen, you were never truly hungry in the first place. If your desire dies without validation, you were never serious about it. Hunger must be proven in the dark before it can be rewarded in the light. Ask yourself right now, do you want the blessing or just the image of the blessing? Do you want the work or just the results? Do you crave the growth or just the feeling of being comfortable while calling it growth? Your life will expose your answer. Your daily discipline, or lack of it, reveals what you're really hungry for. Because hunger isn't in what you say. Hunger is in what you do when it's hard. Hunger shows up in the early mornings, in the late nights, in the sacrifices nobody claps for. Hunger is seen in the consistency you keep even when you don't feel like it. Here's a truth you can't escape. Your blessing won't come to your words, it will come to your discipline. If you're not disciplined, you're not hungry enough. If you're not consistent, you're not hungry enough. If you keep quitting when it gets heavy, you're not hungry enough. Because when the hunger is real, quitting is not an option. Hunger makes you get back up after failure. Hunger makes you push through silence. Hunger makes you keep building even when nothing is working yet. And don't fool yourself into thinking that God doesn't notice your appetite. Every decision you make is proof of how badly you want what you're asking for. Every distraction you allow is proof. Every excuse you accept is proof. Every time you choose comfort over progress, you prove to yourself that your hunger isn't real. You can't keep playing small and then cry that the big blessing hasn't come yet. The truth is, the blessing isn't late, you are. If your life feels like it's testing you, it's because it is. You're being tested to see if your hunger is deeper than your excuses. You're being tested to see if you crave growth enough to let go of comfort. You're being tested to see if your desire for transformation is stronger than your addiction to the old version of yourself. And if you fail the test, don't blame the silence, don't blame the delay, don't blame anyone else. The responsibility is yours. So take a look at yourself right now. If you say you're hungry, prove it. Prove it with sacrifice. Prove it with discipline. Prove it with consistency. Prove it by letting go of what feeds your weakness. Prove it by refusing to quit when life pushes back. Because the truth is simple. God doesn't hand big blessings to those who casually want them. He gives them to those who are relentless, those who have proven through their hunger that nothing will stop them. The blessing is waiting. The breakthrough is waiting. The question isn't whether it's coming. The question is whether your hunger will carry you to it, or your excuses will bury you before it arrives. Here's the harsh reality you don't want to face. If you keep quitting every time it gets hard, you will never touch what's meant for you. You say you're ready for something big, but your behavior says otherwise, because every time pressure hits, you fold. Every time discipline calls, you ignore it. Every time faith is required, you hide behind excuses. And yet you wonder why the breakthrough hasn't come. Let this sink in. Your next level doesn't come wrapped in ease. It comes wrapped in struggle. It comes wrapped in tests. It comes wrapped in challenges that feel like they're designed to crush you. That's the package of growth. You don't get big things delivered in gift boxes, they're delivered in storms. Stop expecting elevation without endurance. Stop expecting blessings without battles. Stop expecting destiny without discomfort. The reason you don't have what you've been praying for is because every time the fight shows up, you quit halfway. You want the reward without the resilience. You want the crown without the cross. But here's the truth. If you quit in the process, you will never qualify for the promise. Life doesn't reward those who start strong. It rewards those who refuse to stop. The prize is given to those who endure, to those who can keep moving when their legs are shaking, when their faith is tested, when their heart feels heavy. Big blessings are not handed to the fragile, they're handed to the unshakable. And the only way you become unshakable is by refusing to quit when everything in you screams to give up. Think about it. Every time you've quit in the past, what did it bring you? Regret, wasted time. The same cycle repeated again and again. You've seen what quitting gives you, and it's never the life you want. So why keep repeating the same mistake? Why keep sabotaging yourself at the moment when it matters most? Because that's exactly when most people fail. The moment when breakthrough is just around the corner. The weight gets heavy, the silence feels unbearable, and they tap out. They don't realize they were inches away from the blessing. You can't afford to be that person anymore. If you want big, you must embrace the heavy. If you want increase, you must embrace the struggle. If you want transformation, you must embrace the fire. Because fire doesn't destroy what's real. It proves it. The storm doesn't break the strong. It reveals them. And the silence doesn't mean abandonment. It means you're being tested to see if your faith is real or fake. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Discipline and faith are not proven in moments of ease. Anyone can stay consistent when it feels good. Anyone can trust when things are going their way. Anyone can believe when the evidence is clear. But true endurance shows up when nothing makes sense, when results are delayed, when doors keep slamming, when it feels like the fight will never end. That's when your true character is revealed, and that's when most people quit. But if you refuse to quit, if you choose to keep pushing when your body is tired, when your mind is screaming, when your heart is weary, that's when you qualify for the big things. That's when God sees you're ready. Because if you can endure the weight of the test, you can endure the weight of the blessing. If you can stand firm in the storm, you can stand firm in the spotlight. If you can fight through silence, you can handle the noise of success. So stop quitting. Stop making excuses. Stop surrendering at the very moment when you need to hold the line. Every time you think you can't handle it anymore, remind yourself, this is not breaking me, it's building me. This is not punishment, it's preparation. This is not the end, it's the process. The harder it gets, the closer you are. The more pressure you feel, the more proof you have that something greater is waiting on the other side. Here's the final truth. Quitting doesn't take the pain away. It just guarantees you'll live with regret instead of reward. But enduring, holding strong, refusing to fold, standing tall in the storm, that brings the blessing. That unlocks the promise. That qualifies you for the big thing you've been asking for. So the next time quitting calls your name, remember this. If you quit now, you throw away the very thing you've been praying for. But if you endure, if you hold steady when it hurts most, you'll walk into something greater than you've ever imagined. There comes a moment where everything in your life feels like it's being stripped away. The doors you thought were yours close. The people you thought would stay leave. The opportunities you counted on vanish. And you start asking yourself, why me? Why now? Why is everything falling apart? But you need to understand this. When God is about to give you something big, He clears the ground first. He removes what cannot carry the weight of where you're going. He takes away the crutches you keep leaning on. He exposes the false supports. Because if you build your future on shaky foundations, it will collapse the moment pressure comes. You call it loss, you call it betrayal, you call it failure. But in reality, it's pruning, it's preparation. It's God saying, that can't go where I'm taking you. And yet you fight it. You cling to people who have already shown they don't belong in your future. You chase opportunities that are too small for the vision inside you. You beg for doors to stay open that were only meant to be temporary. And then you wonder why things feel stuck, why the promise feels delayed. It's because you're trying to drag dead weight into a destiny that demands freedom. Here's a harsh truth. Some of the people in your life are not blessings, they're blockages. Some of the things you're holding on to are not assets, they're anchors. And some of the places you refuse to leave are not comfort, they're cages. If you refuse to let go, you cannot rise. If you keep holding tight to what's beneath you, you'll never touch what's above you. You cannot fly while chained to the ground. You say you want big things, but do you really? Because if you do, you must accept that not everyone will come with you. Not every habit will survive the climb. Not every comfort will stay intact. The bigger the calling, the sharper the pruning. The higher the blessing, the more precise the cutting. And yes, it hurts. It feels unfair. It feels like too much. But it's necessary, because a heavy destiny cannot rest on a weak foundation. Think about this. A seed cannot grow into a tree without first being buried. It has to go into the dark, into the soil, hidden, unseen, forgotten, and before it can rise, it must break. It must split open. That breaking feels like death, but it's actually life. The seed doesn't understand what's happening, but it's the only way it can reach the surface. The same applies to you. The breaking in your life is not your destruction. It's your becoming. Stop crying over what left. Stop begging for what's gone. Stop mourning the doors that closed. They closed because they had to. They left because they couldn't stay. That season ended because your next one demanded it. And if you keep looking back, if you keep chasing what's gone, you'll miss what's coming. That's how people sabotage their own destiny, by being so obsessed with what they lost that they can't see what's ahead. Here's another hard truth. You cannot complain and grow at the same time. You cannot whine about the process and expect the reward. You cannot resent the pruning and still expect the fruit. You either accept that loss is part of preparation, or you stay stuck where you are, bitter, angry, wondering why nothing changes. If your life feels like it's falling apart right now, take this as proof. Something bigger is being built. When foundations shake, when structures collapse, it's because they weren't strong enough for the next level. You don't pour skyscraper weight on a wooden shack. You don't build destiny on instability. The shaking is not punishment, it's protection. It's making sure what's coming won't collapse under pressure. But here's the warning: if you resist this process, you'll delay the promise. If you keep fighting for things that no longer serve you, you'll stretch out your own wilderness. You'll be circling the same desert again and again, wondering why the promised land feels unreachable. The breakthrough is not waiting on God, it's waiting on you to let go. Let this truth burn into you. The pruning is proof of the promise. The breaking is proof of the building. The shaking is proof of the shift. Don't misinterpret what's happening in your life. Don't call it the end when it's really the beginning. Don't call it loss when it's really positioning. Don't call it failure when it's really foundation. Something big requires space. Something big requires stability. Something big requires sacrifice. If you want it, you must be willing to endure the tearing down, the stripping away, the uncomfortable transition. You must be willing to let go of the small, so your hands are free to receive the great.